Michael had always known life was going to be tough as a single father. Ever since Emily, his wife, had fallen ill and eventually passed away a few years back, the responsibility of raising their twin daughters, Mia and Lily, had fallen entirely on his shoulders. The girls were inseparable, almost mirror images of each other, with the same brown eyes, the same mischievous smiles, and the same stubborn streak. Michael often marveled at how alike they were, yet each had her own tiny personality. Mia was the braver of the two, always the first to explore new things, while Lily was more cautious, often hanging back but quietly observing everything. Life had its routines, and Michael had grown comfortable with them. Every morning he would wake early to make breakfast, pack the girls' lunches, and make sure they were ready for school. He worked at a nearby warehouse, a steady job that paid the bills but left him exhausted by the time he returned home. Evenings were usually calm, sometimes quiet, but filled with laughter as the girls shared stories from school or played with their toys. Michael often found himself laughing until his stomach hurt, watching them chase each other around the living room or try to outsmart one another in little games. But that evening was different. The sun had barely begun to set, and the sky was painted in soft shades of orange and pink. Michael had just parked his old sedan in the driveway and stepped out, feeling the weight of a long day pressing on his shoulders. The house was quiet, unusually so, and a small sense of unease crept over him. He shook it off, telling himself that the girls were probably finishing their homework or reading in their room. He unlocked the door and stepped inside, calling out their names, but there was no response. A sudden, sharp knock at the front door made him jump. Michael's heart raced as he hurried over. The knock came again, louder this time, almost desperate. He opened the door and was met with a sight that froze him in place. There, standing on the porch, were Mia and Lily. Their faces were streaked with tears, their small hands gripping each other tightly. They looked up at him with eyes filled with fear, a look he had never seen before in their young faces. "Daddy, they hurt our mama. Please help," Mia said, her voice trembling barely above a whisper. Michael felt a cold wave of panic wash over him. His daughters had never said anything like that before. He knelt down, gathering them into his arms, holding them close. "What happened? Where is your mama?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady despite the growing fear in his chest. Lily buried her face in his shoulder, sobbing quietly. "She's hurt. Someone came." She tried to stop them. "But they—" Her voice broke, and she clung to him even tighter. Michael felt a surge of anger and helplessness all at once. His mind raced, trying to piece together what could have happened. Emily had been struggling with her health, but she was strong, and the girls had never seemed to fear for her safety. Yet the terror in their little voices was real, and it left no room for doubt. Something serious had happened. He set the girls down gently on the living room couch, brushing the hair out of their faces. Okay. We're going to help her. Everything's going to be fine," he said, though he was anything but sure of that himself. He grabbed his phone and tried to call Emily, but the line went straight to voicemail. His stomach churned with worry. She wasn't answering, and the girls' fear had been too real to make this a simple misunderstanding. Without a second thought, Michael grabbed his keys and ushered the girls into the car. "Come on, we're going to find your mama," he said, gripping the steering wheel tightly as he started the engine. Mia and Lily huddled together in the back seat, still crying quietly, their small hands holding onto the seatbelt straps. Michael's mind was racing, picturing every worst-case scenario imaginable. The drive to Emily's apartment felt endless. Michael's eyes darted between the rearview mirror, where he could see the girls' anxious faces and the road ahead. He tried to calm himself, reminding himself that Emily was strong and that the police could help if needed. But nothing could erase the image of his daughters trembling at the front door, calling for help, their voices echoing in his mind. When they arrived, the apartment door was slightly ajar. Michael's heart pounded so hard it felt like it might burst from his chest. He whispered to the girls to stay quiet and close to him, then pushed the door open cautiously. The apartment was in disarray. Chairs were overturned, cushions were scattered across the floor, and papers were strewn about as if a storm had passed through. A shiver ran down his spine. He called out Emily's name, his voice echoing in the small living room. "Emily, are you here?" From the corner of the room, a faint groan answered him. He rushed forward and saw her lying on the couch, her face pale, her clothes slightly torn, Bruises were visible on her arms and face. She tried to sit up when she saw him, but the effort made her wince in pain. Michael knelt beside her immediately. "Emily, what happened? Who did this?" His voice was sharp but filled with fear. The girls had followed him inside, their little feet barely making a sound as they ran to their mother. They clung to her sides, their eyes wide with worry. Emily looked at them, trying to smile, but it was weak and shaky. "Michael, it was. I tried. I didn't want them to see," she said, her voice trailing off. Michael held her hand tightly. "It's okay, Emily. They're safe now. I'm here. I'll take care of everything." He looked down at Mia and Lily, who were staring at their mother with a mix of fear and relief. He pulled them into a hug, letting them cry into his shoulder. "You did the right thing telling me. I promise we'll fix this. No one will hurt you again." The girls' sobs slowly turned into quiet sniffles as they clung to him. Michael felt a mixture of rage and helplessness. He wanted to run after whoever had done this, to make sure they never hurt his family again. But first, he had to make sure Emily and the girls were safe. He grabbed his phone again and dialed 911, explaining the situation as calmly as he could while his heart raced. The dispatcher's voice on the other end was steady, giving him instructions and reassurance. Michael paced the small apartment, checking to make sure there was nothing else amiss, while holding Emily's hand and occasionally glancing at the girls, who were huddled close together. When the police arrived, Michael explained everything, pointing out the overturned furniture and describing how the girls had come to him for help. Mia and Lily repeated their story, their voices small but clear. The officers listened intently, taking notes and asking questions gently so as not to frighten the children further. Michael stayed by Emily's side, helping her up and supporting her as she recounted what had happened. She explained that a neighbor's relative had come into the apartment, angered over a minor dispute, and that she had tried to protect the girls, but things had escalated quickly. Michael's anger flared, but he kept it in check, knowing that the priority was to protect his family and make sure everyone was safe. That night, after the police had taken statements and ensured the apartment was secure, Michael brought Emily and the girls back to his house. He helped Emily to the bedroom, making her comfortable while Mia and Lily curled up on the couch exhausted from the trauma. Michael sat beside them for a long time, watching their chests rise and fall with each peaceful breath, silently vowing to protect them at all costs. Even though the night had been filled with fear and uncertainty, Michael also felt a glimmer of hope. His daughter's courage in speaking up had prevented something much worse from happening. Emily's strength in the face of danger had reminded him why he had fallen in love with her. And in that small living room, surrounded by his daughters and the woman he loved, Michael knew that together they could face whatever challenges life threw at them. As he finally allowed himself to rest, Michael made a promise, not just to Emily or the girls, but to himself. He would be there always, no matter what, and he would make sure that the love and safety of his family would never be taken for granted again. Michael spent the first few hours after the incident sitting beside Emily, holding her hand and trying to keep his own fear under control. The girls had finally fallen asleep on the couch, their small bodies curled up together as if they were drawing strength from each other. Michael kept glancing at them, his heart aching at the sight of their tear-streaked faces, the fear in their eyes still fresh in his mind. He couldn't shake the image of them standing on the porch, trembling, calling out to him for help. It was a memory that would stay with him forever. Emily was quiet, her face pale and bruised, but she tried to reassure him. "It's okay," she whispered, her voice weak but steady. "They're safe now. That's what matters." Michael nodded, trying to believe her words, even though the anger and fear inside him were still burning. "I know, but I can't just sit here. Someone hurt you, Emily. Someone came into our lives and scared our daughters. I won't let that happen again." Emily reached out and touched his cheek gently. "I know you won't. You've always protected us, Michael, and you always will." After a few minutes of quiet, Michael knew he had to make decisions. He called the police back to confirm that they would follow up on the incident and check the neighbors involved. He wanted every detail to be documented, every statement taken, so that nothing could be dismissed or forgotten. He also called a family friend, someone he trusted completely, to come over and stay for the night. He couldn't let Emily or the girls be alone, not even for a minute. The hours passed slowly. Michael checked on the girls, making sure they were still sleeping, their breathing steady. He helped Emily move to the bedroom, laying her down gently on the bed and arranging pillows to make her comfortable. Her injuries were painful to see, but she insisted she was okay, that the worst part had been the fear the girls had endured. In the morning, the family friend helped Michael prepare a simple breakfast. The girls were still quiet, their small eyes wide and cautious as they looked at their father. "Daddy," Mia whispered, "is Mama going to be okay?" Michael smiled softly, trying to keep his voice calm and reassuring. "Yes, sweetie, Mama's going to be okay. We're all together now and no one can hurt us here. You don't have to worry." Lily clung to his leg, nodding quietly. "We were so scared," she said softly. Michael knelt down and hugged them both. "I know, babies, I know. That's why you did the right thing coming to me. You were brave and you helped us all. We're going to make sure nothing like this happens again." After breakfast, Michael sat down with Emily to talk about what had happened. He needed to know every detail to understand the situation and ensure it wouldn't happen again. Emily explained how a neighbor's relative had become angry over a trivial matter and had entered her apartment. She had tried to calm the situation, but it escalated quickly. She did everything she could to protect the girls, shielding them from the worst of it. Michael listened carefully, his mind absorbing every detail. He knew he had to act, but he also had to be calm, rational, and strategic. Acting in anger could make things worse. He promised himself that he would do everything in his power to keep his family safe, but he would do it in a way that ensured justice, not just revenge. He contacted a local lawyer friend to discuss the next steps. The lawyer advised him to document everything, gather evidence, and make sure the police had all the information. Michael spent the day making notes, photographing the apartment where the incident had occurred, and compiling everything he could. He also spoke with the girls, gently asking them to describe what they saw and heard. They told him small details, the yelling, the loud footsteps, the fear they felt when their mother tried to stop the person. Michael listened without interrupting, praising them for their courage and assuring them that they had done nothing wrong. The experience had left the girls shaken, and Michael knew that they needed emotional support as much as physical safety. He called a child therapist recommended by a family friend. The therapist came the next day, speaking gently to Mia and Lily, helping them express their feelings and reassuring them that what had happened was not their fault. The girls gradually began to open up, their small voices describing fear, confusion, and the relief of being safe with their father. Michael watched, feeling a mixture of pride and heartbreak, amazed at their bravery and their need for comfort. Meanwhile, Emily began to recover physically. She had bruises and scratches, but she was alive and surrounded by love and care. Michael took turns caring for her and the girls, making sure they were all eating, resting, and feeling secure. He realized how fragile life could be, how quickly everything could change, and how important it was to cherish every moment with the ones he loved. Days passed, and the police investigation continued. Officers visited the apartment, interviewed neighbors, and gathered statements. Michael stayed involved, providing every piece of information he could. He wanted to make sure the truth was clear, that nothing could be ignored or minimized. The girls were encouraged to share their story again if needed, and each time their voices grew stronger. They were learning that speaking the truth, even when it was scary, could make a difference. Michael also took steps to make their home safer. He installed better locks on doors and windows, added security cameras, and created a routine for checking in with each other. He explained to the girls that safety was important, but they didn't need to live in fear. He wanted them to feel protected and empowered, not anxious and helpless. Emily, too, became more vocal about her experiences. She spoke to Michael about her fear, her anger, and her relief. She admitted that she had felt powerless during the incident, but that having Michael and the girls by her side had given her strength. Michael held her hand, grateful for her honesty, and promised to support her every step of the way. Through it all, Michael noticed small signs of resilience in Mia and Lily. They began to play together again, though more cautiously at first. They laughed softly, whispered secrets, and clung to their father when they felt unsure. Michael encouraged their bravery, reminding them that it was okay to feel scared, but also okay to trust that they were safe now. The incident had changed the family. They were no longer just a father, a mother, and two daughters living their routine lives. They were a family that had faced fear together, that had protected one another, and that had learned the importance of courage, honesty, and trust. Michael felt a deep sense of responsibility, not just for their physical safety but for their emotional well-being. He knew that the trauma they had experienced would not disappear overnight, but he was determined to guide them through it, one day at a time. Michael also reached out to friends and the local community for support. He shared his story carefully, emphasizing the importance of awareness and vigilance without placing blame. The neighbors who had been involved were cooperative with the investigation, and Michael made it clear that his focus was on safety, not revenge. He wanted his daughters to see that adults could handle conflicts responsibly, and that justice could be pursued without escalating violence. As the week went on, the family began to settle into a new routine. Emily continued to recover. The girls grew more confident, and Michael remained vigilant but calm. He spent evenings reading to the girls, playing games, and simply being present. They laughed more often, and though the memory of the incident lingered, it became a reminder of their resilience rather than a source of ongoing fear. Michael often reflected on the bravery of his daughters that evening on the porch. Their decision to speak up had set everything in motion. Without their courage, who knew what might have happened? He made a silent vow to always listen to them, to always take their concerns seriously, and to always protect them, no matter what. He also reflected on Emily's strength, the way she had tried to shield the girls and maintain calm in a terrifying situation. Her actions had taught him about courage, sacrifice, and the importance of protecting family above all else. Together, they had faced a frightening moment, and together, they were beginning to heal. By the end of the week, Michael felt a sense of cautious hope. The girls were beginning to sleep through the night without nightmares. Emily was regaining her strength, and the investigation was progressing. Michael knew there was still a long road ahead, but he felt ready to face it. He had learned the importance of vigilance, communication, and emotional support. Most importantly, he had learned that love, courage, and unity could overcome even the darkest moments. And so, the family began to rebuild their lives, one careful step at a time. They laughed, cried, and held each other close, knowing that they had survived something frightening together. Michael understood that life would always have challenges, but he also knew that their bond had grown stronger. The love and trust within the family had become a shield, one that would protect them in the days and years to come. Even in the quiet moments when the girls were playing or Emily was resting, Michael could feel the lingering strength of that night. The night when fear had threatened to take over, but courage, honesty, and love had triumphed. And he knew that, as long as they stayed together, they could face whatever challenges life would throw at them. The days after the incident passed in a blur of careful routines, whispered conversations, and moments of quiet reflection. Michael had made it his mission to make sure Emily and the girls felt safe. But despite the efforts, a lingering tension hovered in the air, a reminder of the night that had shaken their family. He noticed it in small ways. Mia flinching at loud noises, Lily refusing to go near the front door without him, Emily jumping slightly at unexpected knocks. It was as if fear had seeped into the corners of their home, a shadow that refused to leave entirely. Michael knew that he couldn't simply wait for the fear to vanish. He had to face it head-on, to make sure his family's home was a true sanctuary. He started by having long talks with the girls, sitting them down at the kitchen table, their small hands wrapped around mugs of warm cocoa. "I know you were scared," he said gently, looking from Mia to Lily. "And it's okay to feel that way, but I want you to know something. You were brave. Very brave." Mia looked up at him with wide eyes, her lips trembling slightly. "Daddy, I was really scared," she admitted. "I know, sweetheart," Michael said softly. "And being scared doesn't make you weak. It means you're human. What makes you strong is that you told me. You asked for help, and that's exactly what I want you to do anytime you feel scared or in danger. Do you understand? Lily nodded quietly, clutching her sister's hand. We just didn't want anything to happen to Mama, she whispered. I know, Michael replied, his voice thick with emotion. And that's why I'm so proud of you. You protected her in the best way you could. You went and found help. You saved all of us in your own way. After these talks, Michael took steps to ensure their physical safety. He installed extra locks on the doors, added a security alarm, and set up a few cameras around the house. He explained the changes to the girls calmly, so they understood that these measures were meant to protect them, not to scare them. Mia and Lily were fascinated by the little cameras, asking him how they worked and where the buttons were. Michael smiled, grateful for their curiosity, a sign that they were beginning to feel safe again. Emily was recovering, though slowly. Her injuries were healing, but the emotional toll was still apparent. Michael spent hours talking to her, listening without judgment, giving her space to express her anger, her fear, and even her guilt. She often apologized for what had happened, saying she should have done more to protect the girls. Michael held her hand, shaking his head. Emily, you did everything you could. You protected them as best as you could, and that's what matters. You are not at fault. None of this is your fault. Despite their efforts, the girls still had nights filled with nightmares. Michael would find himself waking in the middle of the night, checking on them, listening to their soft sobs, holding them close until they calmed down. One night after Mia had cried herself to sleep, Michael sat in the living room holding a mug of tea and thought about how fragile life could be. The memory of the night they had come to him trembling and terrified haunted him. He had felt helpless, but he had also seen the immense courage in those small faces. It was a reminder that even in fear, there could be bravery. The next day, the police returned with updates on the investigation. They explained that they had spoken to witnesses, neighbors, and the person involved. Michael listened carefully, taking notes, asking questions, and ensuring that all details were accurate. He wanted to make sure justice was pursued, not just for the sake of punishment, but to prevent anything like this from happening again. He also realized that the emotional recovery of his family was just as important as the legal follow-up. He scheduled appointments for the girls with a child therapist, a woman who specialized in trauma. When she first arrived, Mia and Lily clung to him, hesitant to speak. But slowly, with gentle encouragement and a calm presence, they began to open up. They described the fear they felt, the confusion of the situation, and the relief when they found their father. The therapist listened, nodded, and reassured them that their feelings were normal and that they had been brave to speak up. Michael watched, feeling a mixture of pride and sadness. Pride for their courage, sadness for the fear they had endured. He knew the road to healing would be long, but he also knew that his presence, his love, and his support would help them find safety again. Emily, too, participated in therapy sessions, learning to express her feelings and process the trauma she had endured. Michael often sat beside her, holding her hand, offering quiet support. He realized that healing was a family effort. They needed to rebuild trust, restore safety, and ensure that fear did not take permanent root in their home. As the days turned into weeks, the family began to find a new rhythm. They laughed more often, though the laughter was softer, more cautious at first. They played games, cooked meals together, and shared stories of their day. Michael noticed small signs of recovery in the girls. Mia would run to the front door to get the mail, smiling, and Lily would help set the table, speaking more confidently. These small victories were significant, proof that they were slowly reclaiming their sense of normalcy. Michael also made sure to communicate openly with the girls about the situation outside the home. He explained in simple terms what had happened, who was responsible, and how the police were helping. He wanted them to understand that they were safe, that the people who had caused harm were being held accountable, and that it was okay to trust the adults around them. One afternoon, Michael sat with Mia and Lily in the backyard, a warm breeze rustling the leaves above. "Do you remember the night you came to me for help?" he asked gently. Both girls nodded. "I want you to know something," he continued. "That night you were heroes. You were brave even when you were scared. You made sure we could all be safe. Never forget that." Mia smiled shyly, squeezing his hand. "We just wanted Mama to be okay," she said. "And she is, thanks to you," Michael replied, his voice steady but filled with emotion. You protected your family in the best way you could. And now, we are going to be stronger together." Emily joined them, leaning against Michael's shoulder. She looked at the girls with pride and love. "I am so proud of both of you," she said softly. "You were so brave, and I know you will continue to be strong." As the weeks continued, Michael focused on creating a sense of normalcy for the family. He reintroduced routines that the girls loved: morning walks, weekend picnics, story time before bed. He encouraged Emily to regain her independence, assisting her but also allowing her to participate in daily activities. Together they rebuilt trust and confidence, ensuring that fear would not dominate their lives. Michael also reflected on his own growth during this time. He realized that protecting his family was more than just shielding them from physical harm. It meant listening, communicating, and nurturing their emotional well-being. It meant being patient, offering reassurance, and leading by example. He had always believed he was strong, but this experience had shown him that strength was also about compassion, understanding, and resilience. One evening, the family sat together in the living room, the girls playing quietly while Michael and Emily shared a cup of tea. They talked about the past but also about the future. Emily spoke about her desire to feel safe again. Michael shared plans for the home, and the girls chimed in with small ideas and suggestions. The atmosphere was calm, warm, and filled with a sense of connection. Michael felt a deep sense of gratitude. They had faced a terrifying moment, yet here they were, together, resilient and slowly healing. He knew the memory of that night would never completely fade, but he also knew that it had brought them closer, strengthened their bond, and taught them the importance of courage, honesty, and love. As he watched Mia and Lily play, Michael silently vowed to always protect them, to always listen, and to always nurture their growth. He knew that life would have challenges, but he was confident that together they could face anything. The police continued their investigation, and Michael made sure to stay informed. He wanted to ensure that justice was served, but he also wanted to protect the girls from unnecessary stress. He carefully explained to them that adults were handling the situation, and they didn't need to worry. This helped the girls feel more secure, knowing that there were responsible people taking care of the outside world while their father took care of their home. Michael also reached out to close friends and family for support. He realized that rebuilding their lives required a network of trust and care. Friends visited, offering meals, assistance, and companionship. The girls enjoyed seeing familiar faces, and Emily appreciated the extra help as she regained strength. Michael was grateful for the support, understanding that healing was not a journey to be undertaken alone. Through every step of the recovery, Michael emphasized the importance of communication. He encouraged the girls to share their feelings, to ask questions, and to express fear or worry. He reassured Emily that it was okay to feel overwhelmed, and together they learned to process emotions in a healthy way. Slowly, day by day, their home became a place of safety, comfort, and love once more. Life for Michael, Emily, Mia, and Lily had begun to find a new rhythm. The days were calmer now, though the memory of that terrifying night lingered in the corners of their minds. Michael was determined to make every day better than the last, focusing on rebuilding a sense of security, trust, and happiness for his daughters and Emily. He knew it would take time, patience, and consistent care, but he was ready for the challenge. Every morning, he woke early to prepare breakfast as he always had, but now he included small rituals to make the girls feel safe. He would check the locks on the doors, making sure everything was secure, and sometimes he would walk them to the bus stop himself. Mia and Lily were still cautious, but they were beginning to trust the routines again. The girls had started to speak more openly about their feelings, describing the fear they had felt and the relief of being with their father. Michael listened carefully, validating their emotions and offering reassurance. Emily was slowly regaining her confidence. Her injuries had healed, and she had started participating in daily tasks again. She cooked small meals, helped with the girls' homework, and joined family activities. Michael made sure to encourage her. Independence while offering support when needed. The family therapist continued to visit, helping them all process their emotions and teaching them strategies for coping with fear, stress, and trauma. One afternoon, Michael decided it was time to take the girls on a small outing to the local park. It had been weeks since they had ventured out without worry, and he wanted them to enjoy a carefree moment. Mia and Lily were hesitant at first, but Michael held their hands, gently guiding them toward the swings and slides. "You're safe, girls," he said softly. "We're together, and nothing can hurt us now." At the park, the girls began to laugh again, their first real laughter in what felt like forever. They ran and played, chasing each other across the grass, their fear slowly melting away. Michael watched them, his heart swelling with pride. It was a small victory, but a significant one. He realized that healing wasn't about forgetting the past. It was about finding moments of joy despite it. Emily joined them, sitting on a bench and smiling as she watched her daughters play. She spoke quietly to Michael. "It feels good to see them happy again," she said. "I didn't realize how much the fear had affected them." Michael nodded. "I know, but they're strong, Emily, and so are you. We'll keep helping each other until we're all fully healed." Back at home, Michael focused on reinforcing their sense of safety. He explained to Mia and Lily the importance of speaking up whenever they felt uncomfortable or scared. "You don't have to face fear alone," he told them. "You have each other and you have me, always. And if something ever happens again, we will handle it together." The girls took his words seriously. Mia began to participate more in family discussions, voicing her opinions and asking questions. Lily, though still cautious, started to take small steps outside of her comfort zone, like helping with chores or walking to a neighbor's house with Michael nearby. Michael praised their courage, reinforcing the idea that expressing fear and taking action were signs of strength, not weakness. Emily also became more vocal about her experiences. She spoke to Michael about the emotional toll of that night, admitting that she had felt powerless and scared. Michael listened, offering comfort and understanding, making it clear that her feelings were valid. They began to communicate more openly, sharing fears, hopes, and plans for the future. Michael realized that their bond had grown stronger through this ordeal, and that transparency and honesty were essential for healing. As the weeks passed, Michael began to think about the broader picture. He wanted to ensure that the girls would never have to face such fear again, not just at home, but in their community. He reached out to neighbors, building relationships based on trust and mutual care. He spoke with teachers at the girls' school, explaining the situation in a way that preserved their privacy but ensured their safety. He wanted the girls to know that adults in their lives were watching out for them, that they were not alone in protecting themselves. One day, Michael received a call from the police with updates on the investigation. The authorities had gathered evidence, spoken with witnesses, and were taking appropriate legal action against the person responsible. Michael felt a mix of relief and anticipation. He wanted justice not for revenge, but to ensure accountability and prevent future harm. He explained the process to Emily and the girls in simple terms, emphasizing that the adults were handling it and that they could focus on their recovery and safety. The girls seemed reassured, though Michael knew that understanding the legal aspects was less important than feeling protected. He continued to reinforce routines, safety measures, and open communication. Emily joined him in this effort, helping the girls develop confidence, resilience, and a sense of empowerment. They talked about ways to respond to uncomfortable situations, practiced speaking up, and encouraged each other to trust their instincts. Michael also made sure to carve out moments of normalcy and joy. They had movie nights, cooked meals together, and went for small adventures like visiting the library or taking walks in the neighborhood. These experiences helped the girls reclaim a sense of freedom and trust in their surroundings. Michael noticed that the more they engaged in these activities, the more their fear diminished, replaced by a cautious optimism and curiosity about the world. Emily's presence and involvement were vital. She became a source of comfort and guidance for the girls, helping them navigate their emotions and offering reassurance. Michael admired her strength, her ability to recover and remain present despite what had happened. Together they formed a united front, a family resilient in the face of fear and trauma. One evening, as the family sat around the dinner table, Michael looked at each of them in turn. "We've been through something very difficult," he said gently. "But look at us. We're still together. We're still strong. And we will continue to be strong. We will protect each other, love each other, and grow together." Mia nodded, her eyes bright. "We're brave, Daddy," she said. "Yes, you are," Michael replied, smiling. "All of us." We've faced fear and come through it. That's bravery, Lily added softly. I feel safe now. Michael felt a wave of relief. That was the ultimate goal, to create a home where fear no longer controlled their lives, a place where love, trust, and courage could thrive. He knew it would take time, but these small affirmations showed that they were on the right path. The police continued to handle the investigation, and Michael stayed informed without overwhelming the girls. He wanted them to understand that the outside world could be managed by responsible adults, while their home remained a place of safety and warmth. This balance helped the girls feel secure and empowered. As the family continued to heal, Michael reflected on the lessons they had learned. They had discovered the importance of communication, the strength found in vulnerability, and the resilience that comes from facing fear together. He realized that parenting was not just about providing food and shelter. It was about nurturing emotional well-being, fostering courage, and creating a sense of security that allowed children to grow confidently. Emily and Michael also began to plan for the future. They discussed ways to reinforce safety, strengthen family bonds, and ensure the girls had a supportive environment, both at home and in the community. They set goals for family activities, school involvement, and community engagement. These plans gave everyone a sense of purpose and direction, helping to replace fear with hope. In the evenings, Michael often sat with the girls before bed, reading stories, answering questions, and simply being present. These moments became rituals of reassurance, a time for connection and comfort. Emily would join when she could, sitting nearby and occasionally adding her voice to the bedtime stories. The family found peace in these routines, small acts that restored a sense of normalcy and security. Michael also took time for himself, reflecting on the changes in their lives and his own growth. He had learned to balance his protective instincts with patience, understanding, and compassion. He recognized the importance of modeling resilience and calm for his daughters, showing them that fear could be managed without losing strength or hope. Through it all, the family continued to support each other. Emily's recovery progressed, the girls' confidence grew, and Michael remained a steady presence, guiding, protecting, and nurturing. They had faced a moment of terror together, and they had emerged stronger, more connected, and more aware of the value of love and courage. Even though the memory of that night would never completely fade, it no longer controlled their lives. It had become a reminder of their strength, their resilience, and their unity. Michael knew that life would continue to bring challenges, but he also knew that together they could face anything. They had learned to trust each other, to communicate openly, and to find courage in moments of fear. As the sun set on another day, the family sat together in the living room, enjoying the quiet comfort of home. Michael watched Emily and the girls, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and love. They had survived, healed, and grown stronger, and he knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together with bravery, love, and the unbreakable bond of family. Life had begun to settle into a new rhythm for Michael. Emily, Mia, and Lily. The house, once filled with fear and tension, now felt warmer, calmer, and safer. Though the memory of that terrifying night still lingered in their minds, it no longer ruled their daily lives. The family had grown stronger, more connected, and more resilient. They had faced something frightening together, and they had come through it united and brave. Michael noticed small changes in the girls every day. Mia was more confident, laughing freely and exploring new activities. She had started drawing pictures of their family, smiling as she shared them with her father. Lily, who had always been a little more cautious, had begun to take small steps outside her comfort zone. She joined her sister in games, helped with household chores, and even walked to a nearby friend's house with Michael watching from a distance. The girls were reclaiming their childhood, one small victory at a time. Emily's recovery had been steady. Physically, she was almost fully healed, and emotionally, she had grown stronger. She shared openly with Michael about the fear she had felt, the anger, and even the moments of doubt. Michael listened, offering comfort and support, letting her know that her feelings were valid. Together, they had learned that healing required patience, communication, and the willingness to face emotions head-on. Michael had also taken steps to ensure their long-term safety and peace of mind. He had reinforced security measures at home, including locks, cameras, and emergency plans. He had stayed in close contact with the police, ensuring that the investigation continued and that the person responsible would be held accountable. He had also reached out to the girls' school, making sure that teachers and staff were aware of the situation and prepared to provide support if needed. One bright morning, Michael decided it was time for a family outing. They packed a picnic and drove to a nearby lake, a place they had visited often before but hadn't gone to since the incident. The girls were hesitant at first, glancing around nervously as they approached the water. Michael held their hands, walking slowly and speaking calmly. "It's okay, girls. We're safe here. Nothing can hurt us now. Let's enjoy this day together." As they spread out the blanket and began unpacking the picnic, Mia and Lily slowly relaxed. They dipped their feet into the water, giggling as small waves lapped against their toes. Emily joined them, helping the girls skip stones across the lake. Michael watched, a warm feeling in his chest. This was what he had fought for, the ability to enjoy life again without fear. During the afternoon, they played games, collected leaves, and told stories. Emily and Michael shared memories of happier times, gently reminding the girls that while scary things could happen, their family had the strength to overcome them. The laughter and smiles were genuine now, and Michael felt a deep sense of relief. He realized that healing was not about erasing the past, but about creating new, positive memories that could coexist with the difficult ones. Back at home, Michael continued to reinforce their sense of safety and confidence. He encouraged Mia and Lily to express their thoughts and feelings, whether they were happy, scared, or confused. The girls had learned that speaking up was powerful and that their voices mattered. Michael praised their bravery daily, reminding them that their courage had saved their family and had helped them grow stronger. Emily, too, had become more involved in nurturing this sense of security. She would sit with the girls during homework, listen to their stories, and guide them through moments of fear or uncertainty. She and Michael worked together as a team, ensuring that the home was a place of comfort, trust, and love. One evening, Michael gathered the family in the living room for a quiet talk. He wanted to reflect on everything they had gone through and celebrate their progress. "We've faced something very difficult," he began, looking at Emily, then at the girls. "But look at us. We're still together. We're still strong. And we will continue to be strong. We will protect each other, love each other, and grow together." Mia spoke up first. "Daddy, I'm proud of us," she said softly. "We were brave and we stayed together." "Yes," Lily added, her voice a little stronger than before. "I feel safe now. I know we can handle anything." Emily reached out and held Michael's hand. "I'm proud of all of us," she said. "We've faced fear, and we've learned how to be brave together. That's what makes us strong." Michael smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. That moment captured everything he had hoped for. The girls feeling safe and empowered, Emily regaining confidence, and the family united more than ever. He realized that the strength of a family was not measured by the absence of fear, but by the courage to face it together. As the days turned into weeks and months, the family continued to thrive. Michael focused on building routines that reinforced security, trust, and happiness. They had regular family nights, movie nights, and weekend adventures. The girls' confidence continued to grow, and Emily's resilience became a guiding example for them. Michael also made sure to involve the girls in decisions about their lives. They discussed school projects, outings, and even small household choices. This sense of involvement empowered Mia and Lily, helping them understand that their opinions mattered and that they had control over parts of their world. The police investigation eventually concluded, and Michael ensured that justice had been served. The responsible party faced consequences, and Michael explained to the girls that accountability was important. "People must take responsibility for their actions," he told them. "But our job is to stay strong, to support each other, and to keep our family safe." One day, Michael received a call from the girls' therapist. She praised their progress, noting that Mia and Lily were showing remarkable resilience. She suggested continuing regular check-ins to ensure that they remained emotionally healthy and confident. Michael thanked her and made a commitment to keep their emotional well-being a priority. The family began to plan for the future. Michael and Emily talked about home improvements, school activities, and long-term goals for the girls. They wanted to create a life filled with security, opportunities, and happiness. The girls were excited to be included in the plans, sharing their ideas and dreams for the future. Michael reflected on the journey they had taken together. The night when Mia and Lily had knocked on the door pleading for help had been terrifying, but it had also revealed the strength, courage, and love within their family. Each challenge they faced had brought them closer, teaching them the value of communication, bravery, and unity. Even in the quiet moments, Michael felt gratitude. Watching Emily and the girls laugh, play, and thrive reminded him of why he had fought so hard to protect them. He understood that life would always have challenges, but he also knew that their bond and resilience would allow them to face anything. The family continued to create memories that replaced fear with joy. They went on camping trips, celebrated birthdays with small gatherings of friends and family, and explored new hobbies together. Each experience strengthened their connection and reinforced the lessons they had learned about courage, love, and trust. Michael often found himself reflecting on the girls' bravery. He marveled at their strength, their ability to face fear and still trust in the safety of family. He also admired Emily's resilience, her capacity to recover and remain present despite what had happened. Together, they had created a home filled with love, trust, and security, a place where the girls could grow and thrive. One evening, as the family sat together in the living room, Michael held both girls close. "Remember," he said softly, "you are brave, strong, and loved. Nothing can ever take that away from you. We are a family, and we will always protect each other." Mia and Lily smiled, feeling the warmth of their father's words. Emily leaned against Michael's shoulder, a quiet smile on her face. The room was filled with a sense of peace, safety, and love, a stark contrast to the fear and chaos of the past. Michael knew that life would continue to bring challenges, but he felt confident that together, they could face anything. The experience had taught them all important lessons about courage, honesty, and the strength of family. They had emerged from fear stronger, more connected, and more resilient. In the following months, the family continued to thrive. The girls excelled in school, built friendships, and pursued their interests with enthusiasm. Emily regained full confidence, participating actively in the girls' lives and rebuilding her sense of independence. Michael remained a steady presence, guiding, protecting, and nurturing his family with love and dedication. The memory of the night when the girls had knocked on the door would never fade, but it no longer held power over their lives. Instead, it had become a symbol of their courage, their unity, and their resilience. Michael often thought about that moment, realizing that it had set the stage for a new beginning, a chance for his family to grow stronger, closer, and more compassionate. As the sun set on another day, the family sat together, enjoying the quiet comfort of home. Michael watched Emily and the girls, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and pride. They had survived fear, healed together, and built a life filled with love, trust, and hope. And he knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together with bravery, compassion, and the unbreakable bond of family. They had learned that true strength was not the absence of fear, but the courage to face it together. And with that courage, Michael knew they could overcome anything. Even though life had begun to settle into a calmer rhythm, Michael knew that healing was an ongoing process. The fear from that night still lingered in quiet corners of their hearts, especially in the girls. Mia sometimes hesitated before opening the front door, and Lily occasionally clutched her father's hand a little too tightly when leaving the house. Michael didn't push them. He understood that trust and confidence needed time to grow, and he was determined to nurture it patiently. Every morning, he spent a few minutes with the girls talking about their feelings. "How are you feeling today?" he would ask gently as they sat at the breakfast table, warm sunlight spilling through the windows. Mia would sometimes shrug, unsure how to express herself, while Lily might mutter a quiet, "Okay,"